So this is, I'm going to try to do a lap guide for Belle Isle for the Honda, or any touring car, I guess. It's going to be pretty general, but hopefully it gets the right spot, or the right beginning. This lap is a 1:37.21. I'm going to kind of just do one lap, like just let it play for a lap and chase, and then kind of go through it one by one, or turn by turn, and then I'm going to do like a cockpit view for the final lap. Okay, so you see just from the chase that you want to be as close to the balls as possible, and it's very scary, and I understand that. So a lot of the guidelines I'm going to be giving are going to be get close to the wall, but if you're a little scared to do that, I mean, you're going to lose time, but in the end, like, you want to finish the race. So starting from turn 1 and 2, I think this is the most difficult complex for me on the track. I'm still not great at it, but the general idea is still the same. I brake in between the 300 and 400, roughly halfway, but I don't mentally have like an exact note of it, like exactly 350 or whatever, but a little bit, maybe like halfway between it. You see I start pushing the brakes here on the telemetry, but it's not actually showing my brake lights yet, so I'm not actually applying brakes, I don't think. And just stay wide a little bit, and then you want to take a late apex onto this first corner, and you want to stay wide here, and then transition and like really balance the weight, and you want to apex at like this wall here. I apex a little too early. See, like, I started getting on the throttle, and then you'll see it go up, and I get on the throttle, then I'm going to the wall, so I have to drop it down, and then I go back to full throttle when I know I'm safe. The entire first turn is just setting up for the exit of the second turn. You want to stay wide here. I don't know exactly where you want to be here. I try to aim for like kind of the middle, a little bit towards the middle, but then I really struggle for grip getting to this part here. So I do my best to late apex this as well, because you really want to get on the throttle as early as you can, because all the time that you may lose going a little bit like a tenth slower through here, you can make up 2 or 3 tenths on the straight afterwards, especially if you're drafting someone. This is the biggest place to pass, I think, on the track, second biggest. So if you can get turn 1 and 2 down, I think you'll be in a great spot to make some overtakes throughout the race. Again, like, what I mentioned earlier. You want to get like as close as you can to the wall here. It's very scary, but you have to trust. Just full throttle all the way down, kind of setting up for the next turn, which is, again, a big braking zone, and it's going to be a big overtaking opportunity. So here, there's going to be 2, 3 wide throughout the race here, especially coming out of the pits. If you come out of the pits, you're going to be on the right here. And you will, if you get enough momentum, you know, you'll be up here, and people will be catching up to you into the braking zone here. Here, I brake a little bit like at the 400, and then as the race goes on, a little bit past the 400. I know Bot has his track guide, and he says brake at 375. This is going to be personal preference, but the key is to this is that when you get to the turning part here, you don't want your car to be sliding at all. That's the key to like touring cars in general, is like, in my opinion, you know, you don't want to be sliding. You don't want to be pushing wide here. You don't. All that will just kill your momentum, and it's not like a big deal, like lap over lap, but like it is a big deal. Like, I mean, it's not going to make or break your life. It's not going to make or break your race. I mean, just don't hit this barrier on the exit. But it's gonna, if someone's right behind you and you mess up this exit, you know, it's 2/10 if you mess that up, or if you go into the grass, and someone will stick their nose in here. And going too wide through this section isn't great, but it can be done. So you want to be kind of heavy on the brakes here. If you use ABS, that's fine, but you want to start turning in to make sure that you're hitting. I aim to always hit this curb, but you want to be careful because you can get a slowdown if you cut it too much, and also it unsettles the car. Like, the Honda is just not in love with this corner at all. So I don't know exactly where I turn in. It looks like around the 100 board, but at this point I'm looking, after I found my braking point, I'm looking at the apex the entire time. So I'm not looking at where I turn in. Look at the apex and use my eyes to drive the car. I think I use a little bit of throttle. I should. You want to use a little bit of throttle before you hit the curb, so like the front of the car goes up a little bit, so it's a little smoother. You want to use all this on exit. Don't put tires to the left of it because it'll kind of pull you over. Full throttle down here. I don't have a good braking reference here. It's like these black and white ads on the left, but I don't have a specific one. I just kind of feel it out. I guess you can kind of use these lines on the ground, but they're hard to see for me when I'm driving. So light braking here with light steering to kind of, you don't want to this turn you don't want to brake to slow down so much as you want to brake to put weight on the front tires. So you're slightly turning and you want to use a lot of this curb. I haven't gotten a 1x here. I think you can if you cut it a lot, but I haven't cut it that much, so maybe experiment with that. The cars handle it pretty well, at least in my experience. And again, like, get as close as you can to the wall, as close as you dare. Don't hit it too hard because it'll knock your wheels out of alignment if you hit it too hard. Next one, there's a little kink up in the wall here that kind of opens it up a little bit, and we brake around there. So a little bit before that, in the old tire model, you could brake like here and still get away with it, but not anymore. So we brake early here, and then again, I don't know exactly where we turn in because we're looking at the apex once we are on the brakes. I don't like using the inside curb. The Hyundai might be able to, but I don't in the Honda. And again, like, this is where I end my race, or end my testing most of the time, is hitting this wall, so be careful on the exit. You don't lose a lot if you hesitate because it's a short run up to the next turn. It can open the door, but again, you want to finish the race. You don't necessarily want to hit the wall if you can help it. And again, like, you want to brake heavily enough that you're not going to be sliding the car out, right? You don't want the car to be pushing under braking. So smooth. And then up here, I use this this ad on the left as my brake marker. kind of a little bit before it, right when you pass it, a little bit past it. Really, you want to be even a little further to the left, I think, like a few inches if you can, because you really want to open up this corner as much as you can. And this is over a crest, so you want to get all your braking done up before you go over the crest. You have a little bit of compression, and then once you get over the crest, you will have much less grip than you need to turn. So coming up here, braking, 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 and then I'm letting off here as we're coming up against over the crest because the car just has less grip. You want to be pointing towards this inside wall, obviously. It's a little bit of aim for it and miss, but it's also a little bit of be careful because it can hit you. Again, like, you don't want to slide out of here. And it's very easy to slide out of here because you're over a crest, because you want to get on the gas as early as you can. And you also don't want to hit this wall. But again, you want to get as close as you can. Here I kind of followed this middle seam a little bit. I don't think the line matters through here so much. You're going to be defending or attacking someone through here a lot of the time because, again, like, the exit of this turn 5, is really important because, again, it's like the next best passing opportunity on the track. So we just drive down here, as straight of a line as you can, I think. But I use the 400 board as a brake marker. I think you can brake deeper, but the important thing is, depending on your confidence level, is you want to brake in line with this wall on the left. It kind of curves, and you want to open up this turn as much as you can. So you line up with this as much as you can. Probably can do it more than I did it here because there's still a few feet. And trail brake, and you really want to hit this this curb if you can. You can easily get a slowdown if you cut it too much, but I think you can still use a lot of it without getting the slowdown. I think you need to be on the right side of it. I haven't tested it, but it's kind of around there. And you want to be careful though, because if you bounce too far, you'll hit the wall, and this is going to be a bottleneck, especially the early laps. So just be careful, but also like be aggressive, if that makes sense. Coming up to this turn, the left turn, this is a difficult turn, but it has a few tricks to it. You want to brake basically as soon as you come out of this turn. As soon as you're lined up with this wall, I think it's a good idea to start braking pretty heavily. I think in the past you could use like where this little kink in the wall is as a brake marker, but I think you want to brake before that now. Pretty heavy braking, but you also want to let off of it a little early, I think. You can trail brake through the corner, but you want to get all the heavy braking done before you have to start turning too much, because otherwise you'll just push, with these cars. And there's a pretty significant dip. You can kind of see the car bouncing through it here. That gives you a lot of compression, a lot of grip, like especially like at the apex. So I try not to use this curb if I can help it, because it'll bounce you out a little bit. And also you don't use all of that compression on the inside. And again, like, you push as wide as you can and get on throttle as early as you can. I think I'd try to be on the throttle here like before the apex, because you can really use that compression. This complex is fun, and I mean that in a sarcastic way because it's painful, but you really want to like balance the car's weight as you come through here. You don't want to push, you don't want to slide.
The track temperature is increasing. It's now 22 Celsius.
And I try to like stay on the throttle a little bit to kind of keep my speed up, but you want to just keep the car balanced through here. Keep a good line. I think a lot of people take different lines through here. Sometimes if I'm racing, I'll cut more towards the apex, but for hot laps and qualifying and just pace, I realize now, like, I learned the errors of my ways. You want to stay a little bit to the left and open up the corner. I don't have a good brake marker. I kind of use the end of this curve or just like feel it out, which is not really helpful for a track guide, but I would say use the end of the curb as your reference point, and then, or maybe the start of the sidewalk. One of those two is like a reference point, and then, test around with it and see like where you feel comfortable. Then here, heavy braking, but you want to keep the momentum up. I try not to hit this inside curb, maybe get a little bit closer there. And again, like, you want to look at the apex, but then also like immediately look up towards the exit, because it's very easy to run into these black barriers here. So again, like, I try to get as close to the wall as I can. Not on purpose, but like with the steering and the throttle input. Because I try to get on the throttle early, but like I'm on the throttle, but my steering is like 100, 120 degrees. So I'm turning pretty heavily still, and I'm just kind of unwinding my steering while I'm at full throttle to get me as close to the wall as I can. Ideally, you unwind it earlier. I think Bot's guide is saying avoid this like dip over here. I don't know how to do that, so I don't. But try not to hit the wall in the exit, so be as careful as you can and as aggressive as you can. I know it's not the greatest thing to hear, but just trust yourself. Up here, I use the 200 board as a reference, but I brake a little bit before it. Brake heavily, and then I kind of like trail brake lightly through the edge or drop it. And then get as close to this wall as you can, but again, like, this crack on the left is like a good guide of like getting your left tire in there. I think that goes throughout like the whole track, really, is like getting your left tire. This one, not so much. What else do we have? Here, this line is a pretty good judge, or a pretty good guide. Not a good one here. But anyways, like, you can use those markers as like how close you want to be to the wall. I meant to say that earlier on for the turn 2 or turn 3, but this little crack is a good guide, but also like a warning guide. You know, you want to be as wide as you can through here, because you have to carry your speed, and every inch matters for this next one, because you have to open this up just by like lifting on the throttle, and you want to get as close as you can. I don't trust myself to hit this curb and settle out the car before you need to be going down the track, so I try not to hit this curb. I think you may be able to, but I don't. So again, like this line, kind of look where you want to be, as close to the wall as you dare. I hit this on exit a few times. It doesn't always damage you, but just don't hit it too hard. And that's just full throttle all the way to the end. You want to turn in here and get as close as this is the closest I've gotten to this. And I don't think it matters too much, but like, you don't want to leave time on the table. So yeah, that's the lap. Let me put it in cockpit view and run through it one more time and leave the inputs up. All right. I hope that's helpful, and thanks.